stuck. Okay, we have a steering angle sensor light on the dash, so we're going to go and check the actual sensor and see if we're getting any reading. On my other scanner, it did not read anything. I'm going to try that again probably tomorrow. But to do it, we're going to go under brakes. And then we're going to do live data. We'll do advanced measure value. And we'll look for steering angle sensor right there. So we select that and we can go in and show just that one. And then it's kind of nice. I like to use this one. So you can kind of see it's pretty sensitive. But it self-adjusts. So right now it's only 60 to 60. So if I turn all the way to one direction, it'll catch that and be negative 400. And technically, if it was set up right, we turn all the way to the other side, it should be positive 400. So that's 644 all the way. So negative 400. So this is basically telling us that our steering angle sensor is giving us some information. What we can also do is switch it to the graph and then look for any spikes as we turn the wheel. And we already went through this and we verified we weren't getting any spikes. So you turn it all the way in one direction. Once it gets there, then you turn it back the other. And you're just looking for any spikes in the trace data. And that would signify, or maybe there's an issue with the actual sensor. But right now the sensor looks good. So basically we're able to go 200 degrees more one direction versus the other. So I'm gonna have to check and see if maybe the alignment wasn't done right underneath. Maybe the steering wheel's misaligned. We'll do that'll be something easy. At least we know that the steering angle sensor seems to be working, but we still do have a airbag light. So
what would it look like if there was a spike?
So if there was a spike, you'd see something like, see if I can replicate it. It'd be a lot sharper though. It'd be like, yeah. So, but that's it. We have a first successful test drive on our 2004 Volkswagen TDI V10 Touareg. We just gotta fix a headlight, the steering angle sensor, and the airbag, but it's drivable, so we can go celebrate. All right. We ended up messing around a little too much, getting the Touareg stuck last night. So we got it in the extended mode, and it's still, I think it's just too icy. Tires are too small. So figure we wait till this morning and we'll hook up put our winch on our Lincoln, and we'll just winch it out nice and easy. Try to just do a little soft tug, no yanking with the chain last night in the Lincoln, but it's just too slippery out here. So we'll hook up the winch on the Lincoln and see how she goes.
We have 2 lockers engaged. Center and rear. Nothing.
Put it in drive. Luke!
Luke!
Step back. Luke's been wanting to dig out the car, so.
Is he up?
Yep.
I can't turn right.
Yeah, it's frozen.
Yeah. I had to break the ice off.
She's stuck. Okay. Put in park. Alright, let's get the winch set up. Okay, we got the winch line hooked up to the Touareg. The boys are in it. Got the winch set up on the back of the Lincoln. Get my remote. Alright, we're gonna fire up the Lincoln. She's sliding on the ice a little bit. You can turn it on if you want, the keys are in the center console, or just push on the brakes. Should hold. It'll just make it easier if you can try it. Okay, brakes on. Let's try this. Pulling the Lincoln. I'm hoping it gets into the snow and it's. Yeah, tires are straight. Get him to get some gas. There we go. Go. Keep going. Give it gas. Oh! Straighten out your wheels. Okay, give it gas. There you go. Keep it going. Turn a little bit, driver. There you go. There you go. Hold on. Okay. See if you can drive out now. Okay. That way. There you go. Stop. That's how icy it is out here. Alright, I'm going to put the phone down for a minute. Alright, I just rolled up the slack in this winch line. Okay. Turn passenger a little bit. There you go, right there. Okay. Keep it going. Okay. All right, we got her out. All right, so we were able to verify the steering angle sensor appears to be working properly. So got it in the shop here. We couldn't get to the DMV in time. We had the highway shut down that takes us the direct route due to a rock slide. And took my insurance company a little while to get back to me so I could add it to my insurance. Finally got that added. It was too late to go the long way. So Monday morning I'll get up early and head out the long way to the DMV. Get this thing licensed so we can drive it on the road legally. But so far we've had 3 good test drives, successful. No engine transmission problems. So now we're able to test the steering angle sensor. It appears to be functioning properly. We still have the error code. And what we notice is you can turn it 400 degrees one way and then from center, and then the other direction 600 degrees one way. So there's a little, something's off. So I got the steering wheel set pretty much centered. And if we come out here, we can notice this wheel is slightly turned to the right. And we'll come around here. And this wheel is also slightly turned to the right. Now this isn't much, but we're gonna see when you're driving down the road, you actually gotta have the steering wheel about 90 degrees off. So what my plan is, I'm gonna jack it up and measure the rack. My goal is to see how far off center the rack is. Maybe the rack is on center and it's just one tie rod's adjusted out further than the other. So we'll do a quick inspection on that. And eventually the plan is to center the rack, adjust the wheels so they're perfectly lined. And then if we need to adjust the steering wheel to center it, we will. And then we also still have the airbag light. But first thing we want to do is try to get the steering fixed. Then we'll work on the headlight, then the airbag. Okay, so last time I used my new scanner, tried to check the steering angle sensor, and it was showing no value coming from it. So I actually thought my steering angle sensor was bad, along with the airbag, because I was getting a fault on the airbag. So I was getting ready to change the clock spring. So then I grabbed my other scanner, right here, the Autel, and I checked the scanner or the sensor, and I was actually getting a value. So it was actually showing the sensor good. I didn't see any errors with it at all. So, except, you know, in the video I show, you can turn 600 degrees one way and 400 degrees the other way. So we knew something was going on there. So now I'm going to try one more time to see if this scanner will read a good sensor. So I selected the brake electronics. And we're going to do live data. And we're going to do custom list. And then we're going to look for steering angle sensor. So there might be, I'm going to look for more than one just in case. So here's one. It is showing a value now, so it's really strange. I don't know why before it wasn't, so that's kind of good. Although the value is not changing. That's kind of strange. So we'll play with that and see. Let's see if there's any other codes we want to see. Steering angle sensor, there's another one. Usually Volkswagen seems to have multiple PID IDs, I guess they call them. So now what we want to do is view our custom sensors. And so this is just saying steering angle 1. So what I'm going to try to do, okay, so we have a graph. I kind of like this. So we're going to try to see if it changes. So as you can see, I'm turning the steering wheel. Oh, there it is. That is really slow. So I'm straight up and down. We'll wait for it to go to center. Now we're back at 0. That's kind of disappointing. So we're 90 degrees. Back up to center. That's going to make troubleshooting a little bit more difficult. Seems to be catching up. See, I heard this issue with the Bluetooth option, so that's why I chose not to do Bluetooth. But this is hardwired. I made sure I did the hardwire version so I wouldn't have to worry about it. I'm turning left and I'm not getting a signal. Oh, there she catches up. So I'm going to show you now. I'm going to switch over to my Autel and you can see how responsive it is. All right, now we have the Autel connected, and I'm going to see if she'll load. Go into brakes. Now going through the menus, I'd say the Autel is slower. The other one is definitely faster, but live data, it's the live data that you kind of, that's what I worry more about. It's really important to see. So now we're just going to pick, where you at? Steering angle sensor. Okay, so then I'm going to show steering angle sensor. We're going to go to the same kind of view. So we're simulating it. Okay, it always shows like that, 0 to the right before you've done anything. So I'm going to turn to the right. It's and keep in mind, when you turn the wheel to the right, the needle will go to the left, and then when you turn the wheel to the left, the needle will go to the right. Just the way it interprets the data, I suppose. So all right, so I just touched it. Actually, I guess I should show you. That's going to be tough. So let me put this on here so we do the exact same test. All right, so here's a view of the wheel. Try not to drop my scanner when I do this. You can see quickly the data is there, right? There's hardly any. Put it back to center. Needle's up there. Turn it the other way. If you remember that before, we were just, it's just the other scanner, there was a delay and I didn't count the seconds, but it's obvious. So just something I've noticed. I haven't been sold on the X tool yet. So we'll see. Strange thing is though, since we received the X tool, this Autel has been booting up much faster and doesn't seem to get stuck when I open it. So call me crazy. That's kind of weird. Anyways, to kind of recap what we did, what I did was I checked the alignment. I checked my tie rods. They're within 1/8 of an inch of each other, how they're adjusted on the rack. So I centered the rack and the steering wheels, and I noticed the steering wheel was cockeyed just a little bit. So it wasn't just an easy, what I ended up doing was taking the steering shaft apart from the steering rack, and then I pushed it up and then slid it down off of the steering shaft coming off the steering wheel, and I turned it 1 notch, and that got my steering wheel back to center. Then we came in here and did a steering angle test, and I'll show you that I used my Autel just because I knew it was working, and I've done steering angle tests before. So this is the ABS. I'm going to escape. So if you need to do a steering calibration test, go into your brakes. This is for a Touareg. The other ones, it just depends what you have. Most of them's in the ABS computer. So instead of live data, we go down to guided functions. I'm not going to do the test because I already did, but you're going to go steering angle sensor basic setting. Bam. And then it's going to tell you exactly what to do. Perform the basic test because modifications were done. You can hit yes. I should be able to cancel out of here before I do anything. And it tells you step by step what to do. Raise the vehicle until it drives. I did it with the ignition on, key engine off. All it tells you is do not, I have the front end jacked up still too and one wheel off. So the front end is up off the ground. So as long as you keep your ignition on, you turn it all the way. It tells you to do, basically turn it left, a minimum of 15 degrees, and then back to the right, a minimum of 15 degrees, bring it back to 0. Hold it at 0, hit continue, and you're good to go. So I'm not going to do the test because I already did, and we got rid of the light. So now the ABS light's flashing right now because I'm in the ABS computer. Once I exit out of it, you'll see that those 2 lights flash up and then go off. So now check engine light's on because it's not running. Airbag light we have to fix because it's the airbag. So I'm going to take the airbag off and see if I can do some testing on the clock spring and figure out. I don't know if it's clock spring. It's strange that everything else, cruise control, radio controls, steering angle sensor, and horn work. Just the airbag doesn't. So that's the next plan after I fix my headlight. Let's get this thing back on the ground. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you what I did. All right, see that steering shaft right up there? I took the guard off. It's 2 10mm bolts. I'll show you that once I put them back on. That allows me to reach up right in front of this, right behind the front axle, but in front of the cross member or the rack and pinion, and grab the shaft and slide it down. So that worked pretty good if you need to do this. Now I'm putting it all back together. I already tightened down the bolt that holds the steering shaft. Now I'm going to put my heat shield on and get this thing back together. Kai's putting the wheel on, and we'll be able to take it for a test drive. All right, we got the Touareg in the shop this morning. We took it on a nice, good long test drive yesterday. Drove about an hour one direction, about an hour back, different in the hills. They seem to run really good. The transmission kind of flutters, shudders, whatever. Sometimes on the first couple gears, not when it's under hard acceleration. It seems to shift really well. It's that under light acceleration. So we are going to do transmission fluid and filter change. Here's the filter kit I got. So it's got the filter, new gasket, these little spacers, inserts that go on the gaskets. So I got it draining right now. It's a nice heavy duty gasket. But we got it draining. I'm gonna jump under there. I think it's all number 10 bolts. Pull the pan off and we'll see what kind of stuff we find inside. Then we'll get it back put together to fill it up, start it, shut it down, fill it up some more, and get it warmed up so where we could, I think it's gotta be about 130 degrees Fahrenheit to top off the transmission fluid. So not the most convenient, but we'll get it done. Hopefully that fixes our shifting problems. If not, maybe what we see inside the pan will give us an idea of what is going on inside there. It's drivable, so it'll work as a backup vehicle for now. And this is kind of what we needed to do. We needed to run the car to find out all the problems. So, and then some of the problems we'll fix. Some of them we'll just plan to fix when we do the engine rebuild. So, but yeah, it was fun to drive. It's zippy, good torque. The hills around here, for the most part, it could just, there was 3 of us in there, and it could pull them in 6th gear. Didn't have to downshift, no problems. We had a little bit of storm or bad weather come through, so it was blowing snow. Never missed a beat, so pretty fun. All right, let me get this transmission pan off, and I'll show you what we find. All right, we got the pan off, and actually, surprisingly, it looks pretty good. You can see the material buildup on the magnets, but you're gonna have natural wear materials, so nothing, no chunks, no major stuff for 216,000 miles. The gasket was pretty stuck on there, so it's probably been a while since it's been changed out. We're gonna clean this up, get some brake cleaner, clean it up good, clean the magnets, pulled the filter off, and then we'll it doesn't smell burnt, so that's a good thing. But we'll get the new filter on, put this on when it's cleaned up, torque the gasket down, and start filling up with oil. Get this cleaned up. And just spraying off the heavy stuff, breaking down the oils, and then we'll pull the magnets and do a little bit cleaner. Pull off the magnets, clean these individually. All right, we got it all cleaned up. We got our drain, we got to tighten down the drain plugs, but we went ahead and put them in there after we washed them up. We got our magnets cleaned, the pan cleaned, cleaned out the backside. So she's ready to put in. We're gonna let her drain a little bit, then we'll get the new filter on there and slap the pan back on. All right, we got the new filter installed. You want to make sure before you install your new one, you pull the old O-ring out. Mine was stuck up in there, just like that. Just reach up there, pull it out, put the new one on. I just used a little bit of clean oil on the O-ring, slid it in. There's 3 bolts that hold it on. And then I used some rag with a brake cleaner on it, and I cleaned that surface where the gasket's gonna seal up. So I'm going to get the pan and get the new gasket installed and slap it on there. All right, I got the pan all cleaned up, got the new gasket on there, got these little inserts put in. There's a ridge, gasket only goes on one way. There's a ridge that it'll sit on, so it'll hold it in place. And then I went ahead and just stuck these little inserts on after I had this gasket on there. My drain plugs and fill plug are just hand tight. I'll torque them down once I get it back on the pan, or back on the transmission. So let me get under there, get it on the transmission, and get her done. Right there, you can see coolant spraying out of the heater line. There's a little hole there, pinhole. Just started. So I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do, if I can find one local. We got the transmission coolant fluid changed out. Just haven't taken it for a test drive to see, because as soon as we're running it for the coolant, or for the transmission temperature to get up to 130 degrees, we noticed a leak in the cooling line somewhere. So we just traced it down to the driver's side, where one of the 2 hoses that go to the connections for the rear heater cores. All right, let me see if I can find a part. All right, so it's these 2 rubber hoses that, no, keep working, that we have leaking on the Touareg. So we pulled these off the donor Touareg. So we're getting ready to separate these. We inspected them, we don't see any major holes. It feels like the one on there is wore down all the way through. It's been rubbing on something, so it could be when they did the subframe list. I just didn't inspect it very good. So we're gonna get these off, see if we can swap it over, and hopefully fix our coolant leak.
Okay.
My son is filtering our coolant that we recovered as we were replacing that hose.
It was right, it was trapped air.
He came up with this on his own, so I'll give him credit. But we ended up replacing the hose. I guess I can look for the old hose while he does that. So here's the old hose that we pulled off. I ended up cutting the ends off because it was so dang stuck on there, and then pried it off. But Let's see here. We can find the hole. Sorry. Hold on. There it is. It's underneath the hose clamp. Alright, so it's right on this lower hose. You can see. And that, from what I can tell, let me get sunlight better. That, I think it was rubbing against the axle shaft, half shaft coming out of the differential. Sits in like that, and that's right there. So what I did is I zip tied it. I think it's because of the subframe lift. There's a keeper on there that's supposed to hold it to the power steering line, and because of the subframe, it's just put too much tension on it and it worked loose. So I used some zip ties, and I zip tied the upper section to keep it away from that. All right, so this, see if you can see, this is what he was able to filter out. So it was worth keeping that stuff out. See if I can put it in better sunlight. Kind of see, got some solids and stuff, probably when it was leaking out or draining out and bouncing off frame rails and stuff. So worked out good. Just double folded up 2 towels and drained through it. All right, we're running it now, checking for leaks, trying to get the air bubbles out. Working pretty good. No leaks under there. We got the heater valves open, so once we feel some warm air coming through there, we'll probably get ready for a test drive. Well, that's it. The Touareg is now our backup vehicle. I think we got everything sorted out. Seems to be made several good, successful test drives. Transmission's shifting better. Not having any issues, so I think we're good to go for now. It's time to get the Lincoln pulled into the shop. Thanks for watching.